Hey, sixth graders, we're going to look at pre-writing 6 today. So pre-writing 6, that's the other thing that you need to be looking at, and I'm kind of going to walk you through what you should be doing here for pre-writing 6. All right, you should have filled in pre-writing 5, which includes your thesis statement and your hook. Pre-writing 6 is going to be basically, essentially, you laying out how you're going to write your paper. This is our last piece of preparatory work before we actually get going into writing. So I want to give you just a general idea of what I'm looking for here with pre-writing 6. We've done these a lot, so it should be pretty familiar with you already. All right, what you're going to be looking for in pre-writing 6 is this. All right, if you scroll down, there's some instructions at the top, but let's scroll down. The first paragraph should be your introduction. Now, your introduction should include a couple of elements. Number one, it should have your hook. You should have your thesis statement, and then finally there's this sources to include blank. This sources to include blank, there's one on every single paragraph, and essentially what I'm going to ask you to do is write the number of the source that you would like to include. So for example, if I'm up here and I have this citation right here, number 11, card number 11, and this piece of information is like my best and favorite piece of information, and I'm actually going to use it for my hook and my introduction, what I'm going to do is for my sources to use, I'm just going to write the number 11, so that when I'm writing my paper and I look back at this where I laid it all out, I can just go, great, I wanted to use card number 11, scroll up, take card number 11, and get it down. This hopefully should save you a lot of time as you actually get writing this paper because you can just look back up to what you said you wanted to do before. So if we lay this all out now, we can be in better shape to write later. All right, so that's that first blank. That one's your introduction. Write your hook, write your thesis statement. Those should have been written up here. And then finally, include any sources that you plan to use in your introduction. Next, we're going to go to each of the paragraphs. These paragraphs here, you should fill in what the topic is. Those topics are what you wrote down up here. So you might just write topic this, topic 2, topic 3, whatever topic you plan to talk about in each paragraph. And then what I want you to do is I'm going to ask you to really focus on these main topic sentences. These main topic sentences, and I give you an example up here, is essentially you should begin each paragraph with one sentence that tells me what that paragraph is going to talk about. So it's kind of like a miniature thesis statement for each paragraph. So let's say, for example, my first paragraph 2 topic is all going to be about poaching. I'm going to make sure that rather than like putting a fact as the first part or putting like an explanation here, I want to make sure that my paragraph is going to begin with a main topic sentence that tells me what this paragraph is going to be about. I don't want you to say, in this paragraph we will talk about, that's corny, but you want to just state it outright what it's going to be. So maybe it's poaching is a great problem for the white rhino. All right, it can be that simple. It probably should be a little more developed than that, but the idea is that you have one sentence there that tells me that this paragraph, hey, is going to be about poaching. That clear, that obvious. All right, so have one of those for every single paragraph, paragraph 2 through paragraph 6. So all of your main body paragraphs should all have one of those main topic sentences to just kind of lay out exactly what you plan to talk about. All right, underneath that, it says to write out your facts and points. Guys, this is where it's kind of up to you, whatever way is the best. You do not need to write your paper here. If that is a way that you work better and you want to write it here and then copy and paste it to the other document later, that's great. But what I would do if I were writing this is I'm going to press enter, and I'm going to go up here and I'm going to click on these bullet points, and I'm just going to list some of the facts that I want to talk about. So let's say I plan as a point I'm going to talk about 15,000 rhinos poached each year. I don't know, that might be terribly inaccurate, but that's what I'm going to put right there. It can be that easy. It doesn't even have to be a sentence. It doesn't have to have a period. You can just write down all of the information here that you plan to put in your paper. All right, so look back, start putting things into paragraphs based on where they fit. All right, that's your facts and points. You can put explanations there. You can add in different words. You can add in citations, whatever you want to go there, put in the facts and points. And then finally, last but not least, I want you to put the sources to use again. We talked about this in the introduction, but essentially what that means is if I'm using card number 14, I'm just going to write 14 here. So I know that, okay, when I need to make my in-text citation and if I need to like pull the direct quote, I can go to source card number 14 and it's going to be right there for me. And it should be easy for me to find. All right. That's your paragraph 2, paragraph 3, paragraph 4, paragraph 5, paragraph 6. Please focus on main topic sentences. It really adds a lot of clarity to your paper if you can include those little chunks to tell me what each paragraph is going to be about. All right, last but not least, I'm going to ask you to write your conclusion down, or at least script out what you plan to do for your conclusion. There's essentially two parts to a conclusion. Number one, you should reword your thesis. So look back up to what you wrote your thesis statement to be, and you're just going to reword it. Rewording it just means you're taking the exact same sentence and putting it in a different order. It should have the exact same meaning, but you don't want it to sound exactly the same as you did before. So you want to change just maybe you flip the subject and the verb, or you want the put a clause at the beginning of the sentence versus the end of the sentence, put a preposition first. Just change it in some way so that it has the same general idea, but is written just a little bit differently. And then finally, last but not least, you should briefly summarize your points. So what you should do is you should just kind of summarize the things that you talked about in your paper, right? So you should summarize and then put your thesis statement. Your end paragraph, your conclusion should be pretty simple to put together because it's really just reusing the stuff that you did before, all right? But this needs to be included because once again, a conclusion is there to kind of like tie the whole thing together. And if you don't put a conclusion, it often sounds like you just kind of like chopped off your paper because you hit your word count and you said, I'm done, and threw your hands up in the air. All right, so that is your next task as you are doing pre-writing 6. Be very, very deliberate. Take your time as you're filling this in. Get these main topic sentences in here. Those would be super important for you. Make sure that you're able to pull those out and plug those in so I know exactly what each paragraph is going to be about. All right, guys. Hopefully you're able to get these going. If you have any questions, please let me know. Good luck, guys.